Hello. What's up, weirdlings? Let's talk Fantasy Grounds. Fantasy Grounds is a virtual tabletop system that you can use to play pretty much any type of role-playing game you want to play with your friends online. One of the great things about the system is that they have an official license with Wizards of the Coast, so they have the Player's Handbook, Monster's Manual, all of the modules you could want to play online. You just buy it, plug it in there, and you're ready to go. The folks at Fantasy Grounds are providing us with their software so we can use to play with our patrons online. Which, if you're not one of our patrons on Patreon, you can totally go to patreon.com/heroesofawesome and pledge something. I mean, I'm not gonna stop you. You could do that right now if you wanted, because my lights are falling apart. I do need to take some time to introduce the system to you all, so I want to go ahead and show you how to build a character within Fantasy Grounds. I am going to be doing this using the modules from Wizards of the Coast, so there are going to be some things automated, but keep in mind, everything I'm doing here, you will be able to do on your own. You just type, it's going to take a couple of extra steps, but it's all there. As long as you have the book and the rules, you can make this work for your system. Join me. Okay, when you first get into Fantasy Grounds, this is going to be the screen that you see. There's a lot going on here, but I just want to keep it simple right now. We're going to manage characters. That's going to let you create a character that you can then use in multiple campaigns within Fantasy Grounds. It doesn't just have to be stuck in one world that you're playing in. So when you click on Manage Characters, you do want to pick the rule set you're using. Like I said, there's a lot of rule sets you can get and import into the system. We're going to be doing the 5th edition because we play 5th edition. When you first get into the program, this is the generic page you're going to get. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, but the very first thing I want to do is I want to open my library and make sure that I have the stuff that I need. You can see there's a lot of rule sets you can get installed. I've got the Player's Handbook that I really want to have open. Since we are creating a character, there's a lot of reference here, and that's going to make life a lot easier to have that available to me. Then I want to actually create a character. I'm going to go over to the PC and it says Import Local Character. Now, what I want to do is I want to add a character. In order to do that, you see this little button right here? I'm going to click on it. It says Edit List. Why does that little icon mean Edit List? Honestly, I have no idea. I don't know. I thought it was maybe a pencil. It's not a pencil. It's just a thing. Just click it. Don't ask questions, just click it. Then you're going to have this button pop up for Add Items. We are going to add a character, and boom, as soon as I hit that, we have a blank character sheet pop up for whoever we want to do. Okay, this part is important. The thing to remember about Fantasy Grounds is this character creator that we're about to start up is not a character generator. It's really just a replica of a pen and paper system for your character sheet. There are going to be some shortcuts you can use to throw some modifiers in there, but if you change your mind, it's not going to automatically change those values. You're going to have to change them yourself. So it's real important whenever you make a decision, that's the one you want, and commit to it. Otherwise, you're going to have to go back and try to take away a lot of stuff that's automatically added into the system. So remember, before you make a choice, make sure it's the one you want. Think about it. We're actually going to make a character that was recently introduced in our show, The Dominion of Esselund. Turns out he was a lot of fun to play, and I think I might have fun with him in the future, so we're going to create a guy. His name is Spencer. He's a little barkeep at the Oyster in Norrisea, but nobody really knows that deep down inside he wants to be a wizard. He's been studying all this time. But I'm going to give him a name. There's Spencer, and here's a nice thing you can do. You can give him a picture, too. We do have some D&D 5th edition tokens. He's going to be a human. He is a human. He's short, but he's a human. If you've seen the video, he's just kind of hanging out, just polishing the counter. Anyway, so we're going to find a picture of a human that can play as Spencer. These guys look very aggressive. Spencer does not seem that aggressive to me. He's, he's just a guy hanging out, tending bar. You know what? Here's Spencer. Isn't he pretty? Remember what I said about this not being a character generator. In order to make this work right using all the integrations with Fantasy Grounds, you're going to want to roll your stats first. Don't pick your race, don't pick your class yet, even if you've already decided what you want to do. Roll your stats first. Trust me, it'll make life easier in the long run. Okay, so when I'm ready to roll, I'm going to come back to the screen and I'm going to choose the roll tab over here. And you can see it's got these 6 slots for these 6 abilities. I've already set this up to roll 6 scores of 4 dice, drop 1, modify by 0. You can see that down here, and you can change that however you want. You can roll 6 scores of 5, dropping 2, or whatever you want to do, as long as it works within what you're playing in your system. One little shortcut I've got here that's really great and can come in handy, especially if you start rolling a lot of dice, is you can create shortcuts for your dice. I already have one here for 4d6, and all you have to do is just drag your dice down. You're just dragging your dice into a set, and whenever you're ready to roll, you can just click that spot and it's going to shoot off all the dice you have in there. So maybe you're a ranger and you have a hunter's mark. you make your hit, then you can have your damage dice plus your hunter's mark dice ready to go and get all your damage done in one fell swoop. In this case though, we are gonna roll the 4 die and see if we get some decent scores for Spencer. Here's hoping Spencer does well. All right, here we go, first roll. Hey, we got a 14, not too bad. Got an 11, what do we got there? 13, you're very mediocre, Spencer. 17, there you go, that's playing good. What do we got? Oh, 10, yeah, it's not bad still. 10, hey, you know what? Spencer's not bad for a first level wizard, well done. So I'm gonna take these scores, I'm gonna throw them in here for wizards. So for a wizard, I'm gonna want that, intelligence is definitely gonna be 17, and just to keep track, I'm gonna blank that out so I know I don't have to play it again. You just uncheck it, it'll take that score out. I think I want dexterity next at 14, so we'll put the 14 there for dexterity. I like wisdom for this guy, so we're gonna give, whoops, that was still on dexterity. Let's try that again. 14, there we go. Wisdom, 13, thank you. And now 11, 10, 10. You know what? Constitution's always good to have decent score, even for a wizard, right? So we'll give him an 11 right there. Charisma, he's not the most charismatic in the world. I don't know, it's kind of a toss-up. We'll give him an 11 for strength and a 10 for charisma. He doesn't have any negative modifiers right now, so good on you, Spencer. Well done. After you've gone through and assigned all the ability scores and you're happy with those scores, now it's time to go ahead and pick the race. As you can see, I've got the library open and there's a section here for races. And when I click on that, it's gonna show me all of the races there are. And these little black things will toggle open and close. So if you don't wanna see any of them, you can do that. You can open them all, you can close them all. I know that I want Spencer to be a human, so we're gonna go to H, pick out human. If you wanna see some information about what you're doing, you click on this little dragon head and it's gonna bring you up this little info of all the things about humans. This comes straight out of the player's handbook. It is word for word everything in the player's handbook. This is also good to keep in mind because at the very end, it's gonna give you some ideas about the ability score increase and everything. You will see all this stuff thrown in as soon as you assign it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to click on human and drag it over here to the race and it automatically populates him as a human. And if you will notice, all of his ability scores increased by 1. It also assigned his speed, everything that could immediately take place with him being a human. You'll also see it adds a few other things. If you go to the log, you can see a list of everything that's done whenever you take a move. So as soon as I added the human race to him, it added the ability score increase, which obviously increased the ability scores, added common, it gave me a choice of another language that I can then choose. I also have the speed and size added. So the speed there is at 30 feet and in there. If I want to choose the language right now, I can go into abilities and I can choose whatever I want to be. So let's just say that he can speak, oops, I went too far with that. Hold on a minute. Let's say that he can speak Goblin. Whoops, what'd I do there? All right, whatever. Goblin. There we go. All right, and it's in alphabetical order. Amazing. After we've got that done, the next thing we're gonna pick is we're gonna pick the class. So just like we did before, we have the classes right here in the library. Again, straight out of the player's handbook. Click the class and there's all the classes you can need. I want to be a wizard, but I want to look at the wizard. There's all the information, just like for the human, everything you can need. It has all the charts for what you get at each level, as well as your spell slots. You know how many cantrips, how many first level spells, everything that you have available. Then I can go through and I will say, wizard, you're gonna roll over here, boom. The very first thing it asks for me is I get to choose 2 skills from a list. So as a wizard, I'm gonna wanna choose Arcana, but if I have questions, click the dragon head. There's what the Arcana is all about. I think I also want to do, what do we want to do for him? Let's give him some insight. You know? Yeah, let's give him some insight. People don't pay attention to him, but he understands. And as soon as I'm happy, I'll just click the check and it's going to add those skills. If I look in the skills over here, you can see that it's giving me proficiency in Arcana and Insight, and it has added the proficiency bonuses to the bonuses I already have. Look at that intelligence, man. +6 on Arcana. This he's not gonna be bad. He's gonna be a decent wizard. I do wanna leave the wizard section open right now because there are some things that aren't necessarily automated within Fantasy Grounds, so I wanna make sure that we have everything in there we need. You can see if you look at the log, everything that was added. It's done the hit points because he's got a maximum of 7. You have the proficiency for all of his weapons, his saving throws, everything right there in the log. You can see what's been automatically added to the system. In order to double check that, go over here to Abilities tab and you can see that it did give the Arcane Recovery and Spellcasting. Again, click on it. Hey, there's an explanation of the things. I've got all my languages, my proficiencies. If there are any additional traits that you want to come in later, you can add those. Likewise, if you're playing with feats, you can add feats later on as well. I can get rid of the classes now because I don't really need that, but like I said, I do want to keep the wizard part open because some of that is going to be necessary later. I should also point out, if there's something that you want to add that isn't already in there, maybe you're playing a homebrew campaign, if you right click, you're going to have this little toggle wheel that comes up and you have the option to create an item. So I can create a feature in there that says Master Brewer. And I don't know what his feature is. He can, I don't know, brew perfect beer. No cider. I feel like he's more of a cider guy. He's not a beer guy, he's a cider guy. So he can brew perfect cider. You can do that for any of these things. All you have to do is right click in the area and you'll have this option down here to create an item. Likewise, if you see something you need to delete, you can right click on that thing, say delete item. Are you sure? He's no longer a master brewer. So one thing that Fantasy Grounds does not do is it doesn't automatically add your equipment into the system. Part of that is because you have choices to make as far as your equipment goes. So take the time to keep that wizard panel open and then you can see what all you have the choices for. That'll also come in handy when you do backgrounds a little bit later. Back. So like I was saying, if I check the inventory, you're gonna see that there's nothing there right now. But if we look at the wizard section right here, you can see it does give you a list of equipment that you can use. What I want to do, let me open up the Player's Handbook again, and I'm going to want to actually pull up the equipment this time, and we're going to go to the weapons. I have a choice between a quarterstaff and a dagger. This guy's, he's a quarterstaff kind of guy. If I want to see the info, I can just bring it up and I'll see all that. I can see 1d6 bludgeoning, all the info you need. As soon as I'm happy with it, I'm just going to drag this over into my equipment, and boom, my equipment is added. One of the nice things about that is when you add a weapon into the system, if I go down here to the Actions tab, you can see that I now have a weapon. It's got all the dice rolls, everything you need, ready to roll for you, ready to go. But I'm not done with the inventory yet, so let's keep working on this, and we'll deal with the weapons and things a little later. The other thing I can get is a component pouch or an arcane focus. I want the arcane focus because those things are kind of awesome, and I feel like he's going to have a crystal, so we're going to give him a crystal. And he's gonna love that crystal. It's his friend. He calls it crystal. Okay, the other thing we get is either a scholar's pack or an explorer's pack. That is going to be down here and somewhere else. Where is that guy? That is gonna be in equipment, venturing gear, someplace. Did I find it? No. There it is. God, slow today. Anyways, so I don't really know what's in the Explorer pack, but he's a barkeep. He's more of a scholarly type. Book of lore, bottle of ink, ink pen, that's right. He's the guy that just sketches in the corner at times. So we're gonna bring a Scholar's pack over here and it automatically fills in everything that's in that Scholar's pack. That's already in there. Now, one thing you can notice is that you have a backpack that's empty, but you have all this stuff. So let's put some stuff in that backpack. I'm gonna give it a location here. Backpack empty, and you can see it keeps it in there. This is a way that you can keep track of whether or not, whoops, that's not what I wanted, or whether or not they have that stuff out. Let's say he leaves a backpack lying around somewhere and doesn't pick it up. Oh, they lose all the stuff that's in the backpack. It's a good way to keep track of these things. And if you'll notice also, it keeps track of the weight, which automatically keeps track of the encumbrance. If you don't want it to pay attention, you can just click on it and it won't add it into the list, but it's automatically there. When I'm just playing at the table for Esselund or anything, I don't really keep track of encumbrance. It's kind of a pain. I'll just kind of guesstimate if they're carrying too much. But since it's here and it's easy to do, yeah, I'll totally keep track of these things. Now that I have his equipment in place, it's time for me to go in and let's start do the background. Boom. I'm gonna go back to the Player's Handbook again. And look, oh, wow, there's a place that says backgrounds. It's amazing. One of the suggested builds out of the Player's Handbook is to just make the wizard a sage. And if you look at sage, you know, it's not bad. He does okay. If you want to see what a sage looks like, that's what a sage looks like. That's not what Spencer looks like, but that's what their sage looks like. You also can have all the tables of what their specialties are, whatever you want to be, but we're just going to call him a sage because I feel like that fits for him. Once I drag the sage over there, you can see it adds all the things over here. See also that I have 2 more languages added, so I will need to go into the skills, wait, not the skills, the abilities, and I'm going to add 2 more languages. So I want to do, I don't know, not Draconic. Yeah, let's go Draconic. Why not? We're going to say Draconic. Bam. Draconic. And something else. What's another good language we're going to be able to use? Orcish. Why not? There we go. So I have Orcish right there, and I actually want to delete that because I don't need that extra line there. Yeah, go away. There you go. So now he has his 4 languages, everything he needs. If you go to the skills, you can see it's added in that history proficiency. So now his history is super high as well. You can also go in and you can figure out the Sage specialty, and this is the table for that. You can use this to roll. If you're not sure, you just want to roll, just click this button right here and it'll roll, give you a 7. Wizard's Apprentice. It's not going to automatically give you that kind of thing or anything that's associated with the Wizard's Apprentice, but it is just going to say, hey, you should be a Wizard's Apprentice. I don't think there's anywhere really for that to go except in the notes. You can just add that into the notes. You can't really add it in there. If I try to drop this in there, it's just going to be like, okay, I don't care. So we also see a little bit more of the equipment that he's going to have. So if I go back here to the inventory, I've already got a bottle of ink, need a quill, small knife, a letter from a dead colleague. You can add all of this stuff in here. I'm just going to type in letter from colleague, but he's not. He's a bartender. No, Sage Spencer, you're not going to get a letter from a colleague because you don't have any. You're a bartender. Go away. But he does have 10 gold, so we're going to give him 10 gold pieces. This is where all your treasure is going to go, 10 GP. And you can keep track of all your treasure right there. He does have a feature of a researcher, so if you do want to keep track of that, then there are places within the notes that you can add that in there. I think I would personally put that feature as a researcher in the personality traits. There's not really a place that it'll automatically fill it in, but we're just going to call him a researcher. Why not? He's a researcher. Congratulations, researcher. You also have the suggested characteristics. You don't have to use these tables. You can fill them out whatever you want, but if I open this up, I can again roll for my personality trait, click on it, there's my roll 7, and it even tells you what it is. Off of the personality trait, horribly awkward in social situations. So true, Spencer. Ideal table, boom, he's 2, what is that? Beauty, what is beautiful points us beyond itself towards what is true. The guy, he's a poet. He is a poet. His ideal is beauty. The man is a poet. I'm liking Spencer more and more. What about the bond? I don't know. Let's see what the bond says. 1, it's my duty to protect my students. Doesn't have any students. I just realized Sage might not be the best choice for him because he doesn't have any students. Maybe it would have been better to be like, I don't know, a charlatan or an entertainer. Or is there not just a barkeep? Maybe an urchin would have been a better choice for him. You know, because I think an urchin might have been a better choice for him. It's a little late for that though. Remember what I said earlier about the whole, you're not going to be able to pull these things back? You're not. If I want to, I can go through here and I can see, okay, when I made him a sage, then it added X, Y, and Z to these things. It added the researcher, arcana, and history. Plus those 2 languages. I could go through in here and I could take out these things. I can take out, he's not a sage. Boom. There we go, urchin. Yeah, urchin. But I do want to make sure that I take back those skills. So he does not have that history proficiency anymore. He does not have that researcher thing anymore. I still think he's horribly awkward though, because I kind of love that. Super love that. But he does have these other proficiencies. So when you go into these skills, you can see the sleight of hand and stealth has added in those proficiencies. So this is interesting. Go away. Nope. If you click on this, it does toggle through. He's not proficient. He's proficient. He's got a double proficiency bonus. What? Half bonus? No, not proficient. So make sure you get it all the way off where it is going to adjust those numbers over here. If I give him this, you can see it's going to adjust those numbers all the way until we get not proficient. A couple other things I need to do. Need to give him his stuff. Thieves tools. So inventory, I'm going to drag the thieves tools over. Boom, thieves tools. Got all the things you need for a thievery guy. Words, disguise kits, put a disguise kit in there. He's an interesting guy. He does have the city secrets feature, so you can throw that into the notes. City secrets. He knows all the secrets about Norcia. And then again, you have the tables for the different traits. Like, what's his bond? I don't know, what's his bond? Let's see. He will fight to defend his town. Norcia is his home. He will fight. What's his flaw? I don't know. What's his flaw? He will run away if outnumbered. That's not really a flaw. That's really actually kind of smart. Like, why would you look at 50 orcs and be like, I got this. I think that's just as intelligence shining through. So really one thing to keep in mind is when you are doing your backgrounds, remember there's no real place to store the backgrounds. So you're gonna have to go into the notes section and just add them in there. It would be nice if they gave the option to auto-populate, like if you use the tables or if you make a selection and drag in, but right now you just have to type it in there. That does give you some flexibility as well, so that you can put in whatever backgrounds you want, whatever bond, flaws, whatever. It's your character, do what you want. Whatever you wanna do, just do it. Back. Wait. Before we go back, let's talk spells. Because spells are in here and they can be a little confusing and a little complex, at least from my perspective. So I want to make sure we touch on those real quick. Come on in. In order to get to my spells, I'm going to go back to actions, and you can see the quarterstaff is already there, but I don't have any spells. I need to figure out how many spells I have available. So I'm going to go back to my wizard section and I'm going to go to spellcasting. And that will give me the information. So at first level, I know 3 cantrips from the wizard list, and I'll look that up in a little bit. I have 6 first level spells of my choice. I want to open up the wizard spell list right here, clicking on that, and it's going to give me all the spells that are available for wizards. Let's just throw some cantrips out here. We're going to throw an acid splash, and you can see it opens that up as a cantrip right there. We're going to throw light, doing that. And what do you say? How about I don't know, shocking grasp. Let's do that. Once these are in here, you can see a few things. These stars down here mean that that is prepared and you can actually use that in combat. It's a cantrip, so everything's automatically prepared. It'll also say what it actually uses. In this case, the acid splash requires a dexterity save with a difficulty of 14. For the shocking grasp, you have to succeed in a melee attack, and it does have your modifier for your wizard spells. Once you actually are in combat, all you have to do is just cast, and it's going to roll the die for your attack. In this case, it was a 15, so that may have worked. It also shows the type of damage down there, and if I want to roll my damage, I'll just roll that, and it's going to actually show me the damage type that I got. Now, as for the level 1 spells, it says that I have 6 available as a wizard, so we're just going to throw a few of these in here. I like Chromatic Orb. What else do I like? False Life could be fun. I don't know. Maybe not. I'm going to drag that out there. Magic Missile's fun. Sure, let's do that. Shield could be interesting. Let's put a shield in there. How many is that? Is that 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 more. Tasha's Hideous Laughter is one of Brandon's favorites, so we're going to do that. And let's just do Ray of Sickness as well. You can see when I bring them all over here, it gives all of the information. It has what kind of spell you're going to have to make, whether it's a ranged attack or it's going to be a save. If it's a successful attack, if there's a related save. All of that is right there, as well as any effects that might happen once you were successful in that. One thing you can notice is once I've added all of these things, that little star that we have up here to show that that's able to be used is not there, and that's because we haven't prepared them yet. In order to prepare spells, you're going to have to switch modes from standard into preparation, and that's going to put a little circle on the side. Now, how many can you prepare? If you go through here, you can see you can prepare number of wizard spells, intelligence modifier plus your wizard level. So our intelligence modifier, I think, is 3. If I look at main, what is that? Intelligence is 4. So we can prepare 5 spells out of here. So out of my 6 that I have, I can choose 5. So we're just going to do False Life, Magic Missile, Chromatic Orb, Ray of Sickness, and Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Why not? And once I exit preparation and I'm in combat, I can use these spells. They are marked as prepared, so those are the ones that I can use. One last thing that I want to talk about is when you do want to attack, you can just click on this guy and drag it over, roll it, and there's your attack. You can see the attacks on there. Same thing for your skills. If you do a skill check, you can just grab that, drag it over, and it'll show you your skill check. A lot of this makes more sense when you're actually playing the game, but it's super easy once it's already in the system. So those are the basics of character creation for Fantasy Grounds. Have you been using Fantasy Grounds? Have you ever used it in your past? Let me know what you think of the system, and also let me know what I'm doing wrong and what I can do different. I'm still pretty new to the system, so I'm learning a lot. Let me know down in the comments section what else I can be doing or what I should be doing that I'm not doing right. Does that make sense? Words? Also, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you haven't already, check out our Patreon. We're trying to do a ton of stuff with our live streaming with Dungeons & Dragons, and we need your help. You can go to patreon.com/heroesofawesome and support all of our Dungeons & Dragons fun and goodness for role-playing enjoyment for the whole family.